Story 1. I've been working at Downtown Cafe for about 3 years now. It's not glamorous work, but it pays my bills while I finish my business degree at community college. The cafe sits right in the middle of the shopping district, so we get all types. Mostly regular folks grabbing their morning coffee, some students like me, and occasionally someone who makes the shift memorable for all the wrong reasons. That Wednesday started like any other. I clocked in at 6 a.m., tied my apron, and began the opening routine with my coworker. By 8 a.m., we had the usual morning rush. Our espresso machine had been acting up lately, running slower than normal, but our manager said the repair guy wouldn't come until next week. We just had to work with it and be honest with customers about wait times. Around 9 a.m., she walked in. She was dressed head to toe in designer everything. The kind of outfit that cost more than my entire semester's tuition. She had this massive purse hanging off her arm, covered in logos, and her heels clicked sharply against our tile floor as she approached the counter. She didn't even look at me, just stared at her phone while she waited. Me, good morning. What can I get started for you today? She finally glanced up, looking annoyed that I'd interrupted whatever was on her screen. Her, venti caramel macchiato, extra hot, extra foam, 2 pumps vanilla, 1 pump hazelnut, with oat milk, and make it fast. Me, absolutely. Just so you know, our espresso machine is running a bit slow this morning, so it'll be about 5 minutes. Her face changed instantly, like I just told her the sky was falling. Her, 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Are you kidding me right now? Me, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. We're working as quickly as we can. Her, this is absolutely unacceptable. I have a very important meeting to get to. Me, I understand, and I apologize. If you're in a rush, we have drip coffee that's ready right now. Her, I don't want drip coffee. I want what I ordered. Other customers in line were starting to stare. My coworker looked over from the espresso machine, concern on their face. Me, okay, no problem. We'll get your drink made as soon as possible. It'll just be about 5 minutes. Her, this is discrimination. I blinked. I honestly thought I'd misheard her. Me, I'm sorry, what? Her, you're discriminating against me. You're making me wait longer than everyone else. Me, ma'am, everyone's drinks are taking about the same time today because of our equipment issue. I promise we're not singling you out. Her, I demand to speak to your manager. Me, my manager won't be in until noon, but I can give you the district manager's contact information if you'd like to file a complaint. Her, unbelievable. This is absolutely unbelievable. She started pacing back and forth in front of the counter, huffing loudly. The other customers were giving her a wide berth. One older gentleman who'd been waiting patiently for his coffee caught my eye and gave me a sympathetic look. My coworker brought up the first drink from our queue, and I called out the name. The older gentleman stepped forward to grab it. Her, excuse me, I was here first. Older gentleman, actually, miss, I ordered before you arrived. Her, this is an outrage. This system is completely broken. And then, I swear I thought I was hallucinating. She turned and marched straight toward the back wall. Me, ma'am, where are you going? She didn't answer. She walked right up to our fire alarm and grabbed the pull handle. Me, ma'am, that's the fire alarm. Please don't. But she yanked it down hard. Immediately, the alarm started blaring. That piercing, awful sound that makes your ears ring. And then, about 3 seconds later, the sprinkler system activated. Water started pouring from the ceiling throughout the entire cafe. Her, this will reset your service system and you can serve me properly. She was screaming over the alarm, standing right under a sprinkler, getting absolutely drenched. Her carefully styled hair was plastered to her face. Her makeup started running in dark streaks down her cheeks. Me, that's not how any of this works. My coworker immediately grabbed the phone to call the fire department and our manager. I started ushering customers toward the door. Everyone was soaked, confused, and the alarm was still screaming. The woman suddenly seemed to realize what she'd done. She looked up at the sprinkler above her head, water pouring directly onto her face. Then she looked down at her designer purse. No. The bag was completely soaked through, water streaming off it onto the floor. Whatever was inside was surely ruined. My bag. Do you know how much this cost? She was shrieking now, trying to shield the bag with her body, but the water was coming from directly above her. Within 5 minutes, the fire department arrived. They were not happy. The fire chief came in, saw no fire, saw the pulled alarm, and immediately started asking questions. Fire chief, who pulled this alarm? Everyone in the cafe, all the soaked customers who were standing outside, pointed at her. My manager arrived shortly after, followed by the police. Turns out, pulling a fire alarm when there's no emergency is a crime. The woman tried explaining her logic about resetting the service system to the officer, who just stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Officer, ma'am, you're being cited for making a false emergency report. That's a misdemeanor. You'll also be liable for the fire department response costs and any damages to the business. But my bag. Look what they did to my bag. Officer, you did that to your own bag, ma'am. My manager banned her from the cafe permanently. The water damage meant we had to close for 2 days for cleanup and repairs. The company ended up suing her for the damages, which I heard was several $1,000s. That didn't even include her fine for the false alarm or the fire department fees. I never did finish making her caramel macchiato. Story 2. I've been working at McDonald's for about 3 years now. I started when I was 16, right after my dad lost his job at the factory. My mom was already working 2 shifts as a nurse, and we needed the extra income to keep up with bills. What started as a temporary thing to help out became my main gig. I'm 19 now, taking online classes when I can, trying to save up for proper college someday. The pay isn't great, but most customers are decent enough. You get the occasional rude person, but nothing I can't handle. I usually work the drive-through window during evening shifts because I'm quick with orders and can keep the line moving. My manager says I'm one of the best at it, which is probably why I was there that Tuesday evening when everything went sideways. It was around 7 in the evening, pretty busy, but nothing crazy. I was taking orders, collecting payments, handing out bags. Standard stuff. Then this woman pulled up to my window in a huge SUV. I could tell right away she was on her phone, barely looking at me. Good evening. Your total is $18.47. She thrust her credit card at me without saying a word, still talking on her phone. I ran it through, handed it back with her receipt. Thank you. Please pull forward to the next window for your order. That's when things got weird. Instead of pulling forward to the pickup window like everyone does, she just sat there. Cars were lining up behind her, and I could see my manager glancing over with that stressed look she gets when the drive-through times are running long. Ma'am, you need to pull forward to get your food. She looked at me like I just insulted her entire bloodline. Woman, I know how a drive-through works. Don't rush me. She was still on her phone. I waited about 30 seconds, then leaned out the window again. Ma'am, there are other customers waiting. You really need to move forward. She rolled her eyes dramatically, but finally started moving. Except she didn't pull forward. She put her SUV in reverse. I watched in horror as she backed straight into the sedan behind her. The crunch of metal was loud enough that everyone inside heard it. I immediately hit the button for my manager. The woman threw open her door and stomped back toward the car she'd hit. The driver, a middle-aged man, was already getting out, looking shocked. I could see them talking, or rather, her yelling at him. My manager rushed outside. After about 10 minutes of the woman screaming at this poor guy and him trying to exchange insurance information, my manager came back inside and called the police to file an accident report since it happened on our property. The woman stormed up to the building entrance and came inside, making a beeline for the counter. I was still at the drive-through, but I could hear everything. Woman, I want to speak to whoever's in charge here. My manager walked over, putting on her professional smile. Manager, I'm the manager. How can I help you? Woman, your employee emotionally distracted me. She was rushing me, making me nervous, and that's why I hit that car. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My coworker at the front counter shot me a wide-eyed look. Manager, ma'am, our employee was simply asking you to pull forward, which is standard procedure. Woman, she was aggressive. She caused me psychological stress. I demand free food for this trauma, and I'm going to sue this franchise for psychological steering interference. Manager, I'm sorry, but you reversed your vehicle into another car. That was your decision. Woman, no, your worker made me so flustered I couldn't think straight. This is your fault. The police arrived about 5 minutes later. The woman immediately started telling them her version of events, claiming I'd been harassing her through the window, making her panic and causing the accident. The officer looked tired, like he'd heard every excuse in the book. Officer, ma'am, were you on your phone? Woman, that's irrelevant. Officer, multiple witnesses say you were on your phone. The other driver says you were on your phone. Were you on your phone when you put your vehicle in reverse? She sputtered, her face turning red. Woman, I want to file a complaint against this McDonald's. Officer, you can file whatever you want, but you're getting a citation for backing without caution and distracted driving. He wrote her the ticket while she ranted about suing everyone. The other driver got his insurance information and left, shaking his head. Before the woman finally left, she turned to me. Woman, you haven't heard the last of this. My lawyer will be in touch. That was 3 months ago. My manager did get a letter from some lawyer about a lawsuit for psychological steering interference and emotional workplace negligence or something equally ridiculous. Our corporate legal team apparently laughed and sent back a response basically saying good luck with that. They had the drive-through footage showing the whole thing, including her on her phone the entire time. The lawsuit went nowhere, but the woman did leave a 1-star review on Google claiming I'd attacked her through psychological warfare at the drive-through window. My coworkers printed it out and hung it in the break room. Now, whenever someone's having a bad shift, we joke about our psychological warfare tactics. I'm still at that drive-through window, still dealing with entitled people, still saving up for college. But at least now I've got a story that gets laughs at parties. Story 3. I've been working the front desk at the Riverside Inn for about 3 years now. It's not glamorous work, but it pays the bills and my manager is pretty understanding about my college schedule. I usually work the evening shift, which is when most guests check in and when things can get a little hectic. My coworker was on her dinner break, so I was manning the desk alone when this whole nightmare started. A woman in her 50s came storming up to the desk, waving her room key card like it was a weapon. She was wearing an expensive-looking pantsuit and had that haircut. You know the one. Me, good evening, ma'am. How can I help you? Her, this key doesn't work. I've been standing outside my room for 10 minutes trying to get in. Me, I'm so sorry about that. Key cards can demagnetize sometimes, especially if they're near phones or credit cards. Let me make you a new one right away. I reached for her key card, but she yanked it back. Her, demagnetize. That's ridiculous. This is clearly a defective product. I want to speak to your manager. Me, my manager left for the day, but I can absolutely fix this for you right now. It'll just take 30 seconds. Her, unacceptable. What kind of establishment leaves no management on duty? Me, there is management on call if there's an emergency, but I can handle room key issues. I do this several times a day. She slammed her hand on the counter, making me jump. Her, I am a Platinum Elite member. Do you understand what that means? I stay at hotels 300 days a year for my consulting business. Me, I completely understand, and I appreciate your loyalty. Let me just remake your key and get you back to your room. Before I could do anything, my phone behind the desk started ringing. I picked it up while pulling up her reservation on the computer. Me, front desk, this is... Her, excuse me, I was talking to you. Me, ma'am, I need to answer this call. but I'm still helping you. One moment, please. The caller was just asking about our breakfast hours. I gave them a quick answer and hung up, but when I turned back, the woman had walked around the desk and was standing right next to me behind the counter. Ma'am, you can't be back here. This is a staff-only area. Her. Since there's clearly no competent management, someone needs to take charge. I'll handle it. I actually laughed because I thought she was joking. She was not joking. Please step back to the other side of the desk, and I'll get your key fixed right now. Her. I don't think so. You're clearly overwhelmed and undertrained. Step aside. The phone rang again. Before I could pick it up, she grabbed it. Her. Riverside Inn, acting manager speaking. How may I direct your call? I stood there in complete shock. This woman had just answered our business line and called herself the acting manager. Ma'am, hang up the phone right now. You cannot do this. She held up one finger to shush me while talking to whoever was on the line. Her. Yes, we do have availability for this weekend. Let me transfer you to reservations. She just started pressing random buttons on the phone. I quickly took the handset from her, apologized to the confused guest on the other end, and hung up. You need to leave this area immediately, or I'm calling the police. Her. Go ahead and call them. They'll see that I'm trying to save this hotel from incompetent staff. My coworker came back from her dinner break at that exact moment and froze when she saw this guest standing behind our desk. Her. Oh good, another employee. You're doing a terrible job. You're fired. Pack your things. My coworker looked at me with wide eyes. I was already dialing our manager's emergency number, but he wasn't picking up, so I called the police instead. Hi, I need an officer at the Riverside Inn. We have a guest who won't leave the staff area and is interfering with hotel operations. Her. You're calling the police on a paying customer. I'll have your job for this. She then proceeded to try to use our computer, but since she didn't have the password, she just kept clicking randomly. When she couldn't get in, she started going through the drawers at our desk. Her. Where do you keep the master keys? I need to inspect the rooms for quality control. You need to step away from there right now. The police arrived about 8 minutes later, though it felt like an hour. 2 officers walked in, and I've never been so relieved to see anyone in my life. Officer, we got a call about a disturbance. Her. Yes, officer. These 2 incompetent employees have been refusing to help me and then called you to intimidate me. I demand they be arrested. Officer. Ma'am, are you a guest at this hotel? Her. I'm a Platinum Elite member and currently serving as acting manager due to staff incompetence. The officer looked at me, and I explained the whole situation. My coworker backed up my story. The woman kept interrupting, insisting she had every right to take control of the front desk. Officer. Ma'am, you need to return to your room or leave the property. Her. I will not. I'm in charge here. That's when the officer told her she was trespassing in a staff-only area and needed to comply or face arrest. She actually tried to argue that as a Platinum Elite member, she had executive override privileges. The second officer walked her out from behind the desk while she shouted about lawsuits and corporate complaints. They gave her one final warning to go to her room or leave the property. She chose to leave, demanding a full refund and promising to have us all fired. After she left, my manager called me back. When I told him what happened, he actually laughed and said he'd handle any complaints that came through. Apparently, she did try to complain to corporate the next day, but once they heard she'd gone behind the desk and pretended to be management, they banned her account entirely. My coworker and I still joke about it. Whenever something goes wrong, one of us will announce we're the acting manager now. At least I got a good story out of it. And honestly, watching the police escort her out while she ranted about her status was pretty satisfying. Story 4. I got my service dog about 2 years ago. After my accident, I developed pretty severe anxiety and PTSD. My therapist recommended looking into a service animal, and that's how I met my partner. He's a golden retriever, trained specifically for psychiatric support. He alerts me before panic attacks, provides deep pressure therapy, and helps me navigate crowded spaces when I start getting overwhelmed. We'd been working together for about 18 months when this incident happened. By then, we had our routine down solid. He knew his job, I trusted him completely, and we rarely had issues in public. Most people were respectful, and the few who tried to pet him without asking usually backed off when I explained he was working. That Tuesday, I needed to run to the pharmacy inside our local big box store. Just a quick trip to pick up my prescription and maybe grab some groceries. Nothing complicated. My dog was wearing his clearly marked vest, and he walked calmly beside me as we entered the store. The pharmacy was near the back, so we had to walk through most of the store to reach it. My dog stayed in perfect heel position, ignoring other shoppers, ignoring interesting smells, just doing his job. I was proud of how far we'd both come. I was waiting in the pharmacy line when I heard the voice behind me. Excuse me. I turned around. This woman was standing about 6 feet back, staring at my dog with her arms crossed. Me, yes? Can I help you? That dog looked at me. I glanced down at my dog. He was sitting calmly beside me, facing forward, not looking at anyone. Me, I'm sorry, what? Your dog. It looked at me, very rudely. Me, I'm not sure what you mean. He's a service dog. He's just doing his job. I saw how he was looking at me. It was very threatening. Me, he's not looking at you right now, ma'am. He's trained to focus on me. Well, he was. And I didn't appreciate it one bit. I tried to turn back to the pharmacy counter, hoping she'd just drop it. The pharmacist was helping someone else, and I still had 2 people ahead of me in line. Are you ignoring me now? Me, ma'am, I'm just waiting for my prescription. That dog blinked at me. Me, dogs blink. That's what they do. Not like that. It was in a threatening rhythm. Blink, blink, pause, blink. It was clearly aggressive. I honestly didn't know what to say. I looked around, hoping someone else was hearing this, but the other customers were studiously avoiding eye contact. Me, ma'am, he's a trained service dog. He's not being aggressive toward anyone. He's just sitting here calmly. I know threatening behavior when I see it. That dog needs to be muzzled immediately. Me, he's a service dog. He's protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. He doesn't need a muzzle. I don't care about your precious act. That animal looked at me in a threatening manner, and I demand you muzzle it right now. Me, I'm not going to do that. He hasn't done anything wrong. Then I'm getting the manager. She stormed off toward the front of the store. I looked down at my dog, who was still sitting calmly, completely unbothered by the entire interaction. His tail wagged once when he noticed me looking at him. Me, you're such a good boy. Yes, you are. I made it to the counter and got my prescription. The pharmacist gave me a sympathetic look, but didn't say anything. I figured maybe the woman had forgotten about the whole thing or calmed down. I was wrong. As I walked toward the grocery section, I saw her marching back toward me with a manager in tow. The manager looked exhausted already. That's her. That's the woman with the violent dog. Manager, ma'am, can you please lower your voice? I will not lower my voice. This is a safety issue. The manager approached me with an apologetic expression. Manager, I'm sorry to bother you. Can you tell me what happened? Me, honestly, I'm not really sure. I was waiting in line at the pharmacy with my service dog, and she said he looked at her rudely. It blinked at me, in a threatening pattern. Manager, the dog, blinked at you. Yes, it was clearly aggressive. Blink, blink, pause, blink. That's dog for I'm going to attack you. Manager, ma'am, that's not how dogs work. How would you know? Are you a dog expert? Manager, I own 3 dogs, and this is clearly a service animal. See the vest? I don't care if it's wearing a tuxedo. It threatened me, and I demand it be removed from the store. Manager, ma'am, this is a service dog. We legally cannot ask her to remove the animal unless it's being disruptive or dangerous. Blinking doesn't qualify. Her, so you're taking her side. Manager, I'm following federal law. Her, this is discrimination. I'm a paying customer. Manager, and she's a customer with a legal right to have her service animal with her. The dog is calm, well-behaved, and hasn't bothered anyone. Her, it bothered me. Manager, by blinking. Her, by blinking threateningly. The manager took a deep breath. I could see him counting to 10 in his head. Manager, ma'am, I'm going to ask you one time to drop this issue and continue your shopping, or I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store. Her, you can't kick me out. I didn't do anything wrong. Manager, you're harassing another customer over a non-issue. If you continue, I'll have to issue a trespassing warning. Her, fine, I'm calling corporate. I'm calling the news. Everyone is going to hear about how you let vicious animals terrorize innocent shoppers. Manager, that's your right, ma'am. But you need to leave now. She sputtered for another few seconds, then spun around and stormed toward the exit, muttering loudly about lawsuits and discrimination. The manager turned to me. Manager, I am so sorry about that. Are you okay? Me, I'm fine. Thank you for handling it. Manager, beautiful dog, by the way, very well trained. Me, thank you. I finished my shopping without any other incidents. My dog continued being his perfect, professional self, completely unaware that his blinking pattern had caused such drama. When we got to the car, I gave him extra treats and told him what a good boy he was. He wagged his tail and blinked at me. Not threateningly, though, just normally. Story 5. I've been in a wheelchair since I was 14. Car accident on the way home from soccer practice. My spine took the hit, and that was that. 5 years later, I've adapted pretty well. I go to college, hang out with friends, and yeah, I go to concerts. Music was always my thing, even before the accident. My best friend got us tickets to see this indie rock band we'd been following for years. They finally came to our city, and we were so excited. The venue had accessible seating, which was great. I always book those spots because, well, I need them. We got there early, went through the accessible entrance, and an usher showed us to the designated area. It was off to the side, but had a perfect view of the stage. About 20 minutes before the show started, this woman showed up at the accessible section. She was limping dramatically, leaning on the railing like she could barely stand. An usher was helping her, looking concerned. Usher, here you go, ma'am. This is our accessible seating area. Woman, this is it? I can barely see from here. Usher, this is our designated accessible section with the best sightlines for those who need accommodation. Woman, I have a severe leg injury. I need to be closer. I need front row. The usher looked uncomfortable. The accessible section was actually really good, but it wasn't front row. Front row was general admission, standing room only. Usher, ma'am, the front row is standing only. This area has seating and is designed for guests who need it. Woman, are you discriminating against me? I'm injured. I deserve VIP treatment. My friend leaned over and whispered to me. Friend, is she serious right now? Me, apparently. The woman kept arguing, getting louder. She was making this whole scene about how her leg was in so much pain, how she'd been in a terrible accident, how she couldn't believe they were treating disabled people this way. The usher eventually called over a manager. Manager, ma'am, I understand you're having difficulties. Our accessible seating is specifically designed for guests who need accommodation. It has the best viewing angles for seated guests. Woman, I paid good money for these tickets. I want front row or I want a refund. Manager, your ticket doesn't include front row seating. Those are separate tickets. Woman, then upgrade me. I'm disabled. She said that word like it was a magic password. I felt my jaw tighten. There were 3 other people in wheelchairs in our section, plus an older man with a cane. We all exchanged looks. The manager, probably just wanting to end the drama before the show started, actually radioed someone. A few minutes later, they agreed to move her to a front row seat they were holding for emergencies. She stopped limping quite so dramatically as soon as she got what she wanted, practically skipping toward the stage. Friend, that was ridiculous. Me, yeah. The concert started, and it was amazing. The band was incredible, the energy was perfect, and we were all having a great time. About 4 songs in, during this really upbeat number, I looked toward the front row to see how the view was from down there. That's when I saw her, the woman, standing up. Not just standing, but jumping around, dancing, throwing her hands in the air. Absolutely no sign of any injury whatsoever. She was moving better than half the people in the pit. Me, you've got to be kidding me. Friend, what? Me, look at the front row. 3rd person from the left. My friend looked, then her mouth dropped open. Friend, is that me? Yep. Miss severe leg injury. The guy with the cane in our section had noticed too. He shook his head in disgust. One of the other wheelchair users, a woman probably in her 30s, looked furious. Woman in wheelchair, should we say something? Me, I'm going to. I wheeled over to the nearest usher and pointed out the woman. At first, the usher didn't believe me, but then we all watched as she did a full jump with both legs during the chorus. The usher called the manager over. Manager, are you certain that's the same woman who claimed she couldn't stand? Me, positive. She made a huge scene about needing accessible seating because of her leg injury. The manager watched for another minute, and the woman kept dancing. No limp, no pain, nothing. Manager, thank you for letting me know. He walked down toward the front row with security. We couldn't hear what was said, but we saw the woman's face go pale when she realized she'd been caught. The manager pointed back toward our section, probably explaining that actual disabled people had reported her. Security escorted her back up the aisle. As she passed our section, she wouldn't make eye contact with any of us. But people around us had figured out what was happening. Someone started booing. Then someone else joined in. Within seconds, dozens of people in our section were booing and pointing at her. Random guy, fake. You're a fake. Woman nearby, that's disgusting. People actually need those seats. Her face turned bright red. Security walked her straight to the exit while the boos followed her. She tried to argue with them at the door, but they weren't having it. She was out. The band stopped between songs, and the lead singer asked what the commotion was about. Someone near the stage yelled out the whole story. The singer looked disgusted. Singer, that's messed up. Accessible seating is for people who actually need it. Respect that. The crowd cheered. The woman in the wheelchair next to me raised her fist in solidarity. We all did. The rest of the concert was perfect. Justice served, great music, and a story I'd be telling for years.